Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Latif and today I'm trying to explain why Inter couldn't make game from defense against Lazio and how they could. Lazio played 4-3-3 lineup. Inter played with 3-5-2 lineup. When Lazio were meeting Inter in midfield front, they were like 4-5-1. Normally, Lazio's center forward could match with Inter center stopper directly, but consciously, he didn't match. He stayed closer to Inter's defensive midfielder and covered him with shadow marking. Wingers waited with the midfielders until Inter's right or left stopper took the ball. Then they closed the stoppers slowly. They didn't close the Inter stoppers immediately, so Inter stoppers had time and space before Lazio's wingers met them. Stoppers were not completely comfortable, but they had enough time and space. Lazio's midfielders accorded their positioning to spaces where they cover more than Inter's midfielders' positionings. Defense line didn't take position closer to the midfield line all the time, so the distance between Lazio's defense and midfield lines was so much. When Inter were trying to make game from behind, Lazio pressed so balancedly. They didn't press so aggressively, but also didn't let Inter make game from behind comfortably. The problem for Inter was, Inter tried to make game balancedly too. This time, to make game, they needed one Inter's player to do something special when they were trying to make game from behind. I mean, for example, if one player could dribble with the ball and pass his one opponent, Inter would be in a better situation to make game. But it didn't happen, so Inter couldn't make game from behind. When they were trying to make game, Lazio's three center midfielders could cover Inter's three midfielders comfortably, and also because wingers and center forward didn't cover Inter stoppers so closely, they could help the midfielders to cover midfield better. Inter's one of the wingbacks close to stoppers if the ball gets closer to wing, which also wingback took position into. But this time, Lazio's fullback followed wingback and didn't let him make game comfortably. In my opinion, the thing that Inter had to do was breaking Lazio's balance pressing with long balls. With long balls, they could raise the tempo too. When Inter were trying to make game from behind, if wingbacks would take position in forward and right and left center midfielders would support them from all spaces, this time they would have numerical advantage with 4 vs 6 in forward. If right and left center midfielders would take position between midfield and forward lines out spaces, they could take the second balls too. Also, right and left center midfielders could pull Lazio fullbacks to themselves, and wingbacks could escape defense lines behind free too. You can ask that, what if opponents' right and left center midfielders would follow Inter center midfielders too? First of all, as I said before, Lazio's midfielders took position according to spaces which they cover, and because they wanted to meet Inter in midfield front, they didn't close to defense so much, and also because Lazio's defense line didn't take position closer to midfield line all the time, Inter's right and left center midfielders would have more space between Lazio's defense and midfield lines. But of course, Lazio's center midfielders could understand now what Inter were trying to do, and they could start to take position closer to Lazio's defense line. This time, first of all, probably Inter center midfielders would be more closer to Lazio's defense line than Lazio's center midfielders, because still Lazio would be trying to meet Inter in midfield line's front. If Lazio center midfielders would take position closer to their own defense line more than Inter center midfielders could make connection with stoppers and defensive midfielder comfortably, and now because they were closer to forward and Lazio's center midfielders were closer to their own defense line, Inter would be instead attack. So actually Inter would pass Lazio's pressing. In this situation, like previously, Inter stoppers had to play long, but this time, they had to try to escape Inter's players to defense lines behind. With these passes, even if Inter players couldn't take the ball in the first time, and even if they would lose the ball against Lazio's defenders, when Lazio's defenders took the ball, Inter's players could press to Lazio's players so effectively, and with gegenpressing, Inter players could take the ball back from Lazio's players and go to score goal. When Inter stoppers played long, at the same time, if Inter's right and left center midfielders would start to run forward, they could be in a more advantageous situation even than before. They were already closer to forward than Lazio center midfielders, and now also because they started to run forward before Lazio center midfielders, they would be closer to forward more than Lazio center midfielders if we compare with the previous situation. So when the long ball reached to forward and Lazio's defenders took them, because Sarri is Lazio, they would try to make game with short passes, but Inter would already match with defenders directly. Wingback could match with fullbacks and center forwards could match with stoppers one by one. And because now Inter's right and left center midfielders were closer to forward more than Lazio center midfielders, Inter center midfielders could support pressing quickly, and Lazio center midfielders couldn't support defenders while making game. So now Lazio would be in a chaotic situation. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope this video can be beneficial for you. You can follow my Twitter and Instagram account, and also you can check my blog. May football be with you.